Hey, it's Don Miley here, editor of Transworld Motocross magazine. You're watching Swapmoto Live, presented by OGIO. We are here at the studios with Honda HRC's Cole Seeley, who is currently on the injured reserve list due to an injury suffered early in the year. But he's healing up, and we're going to catch up on what's going on. So, Cole, thanks for coming down. I saw you walk in just fine. It looks like things are healed up a little bit. Can you tell us about?
Yeah. Up until about two weeks ago, which was pretty close to we're coming up on the 3-month mark right now. And up until that point, I was in a lot of pain, just getting up off my feet and being on my feet for like an hour. It made me have to sit on the couch for the rest of the day, and the whole next day I had to recover from it. So it's been a really slow and long process, but like now I'm like happy to say I'm not in any more pain. Getting some exercises in, kind of getting my mobility back. This last weekend was Hangtown, so I spent all day on my feet saying hi to fans, hanging out with sponsors, and just kind of catching up with everyone. I haven't been to a race since I got hurt, so it was cool to interact with everybody, but at the same time it was cool like that night and the next day I was like completely fine, like no pain. All the pain's been in my hips, which is understandable, but at the same time I wanted to get past that so bad to where I was like, just so I could live a normal life for a little bit and then kind of work my way into the exercise aspect of things.
Yeah. So for the people that maybe have been living in a cave, the bike hit you, you broke your pelvis in several spots, and
yeah. So the bike, I went over the front of the bike, landed on my shoulder, separated my shoulder, and at that, like for a brief second, I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And then I got hit by the bike, and it was like the worst pain I've ever been in. Bike hit me right in the front of the pelvis, and it flexed so bad that it actually snapped all the soft tissue, and it overlapped itself and snapped in the back too. So it was pretty painful laying there on the dirt.
So the surgeries were pretty gnarly, right? I mean,
yeah, the first one wasn't that bad actually. The first one was they were just gonna reset everything and let it sit overnight so they could do surgery the next day. That one. When they lifted me onto the operating table, I was out at this point. It released itself, like just from me relaxing my muscles involuntarily. And then the next day, the surgery was only supposed to be scheduled for like 3 hours, and ended up being like 5.5. So it was pretty detailed. Like they had to put a plate in, some screws. They had to actually pull my abdomen wall back to my pelvis and reattach it. So it's been, like I said before, it's been a really long and slow process, but I'm through the thick of it right now, and I'm finally kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now, finally.
What was the scariest thing about the injury? Was there a point where you couldn't move or anything, or? No,
so like just being a racer and having kind of gotten used to crashing and knowing the protocol, like I never lost consciousness, so as soon as I was like kind of done with dodging traffic, that was kind of a scary thing, like all the bikes coming at me.
The way you jumped up,
I was trying to get everyone's attention, like, hey, like like kill it, like don't jump the section. But when I got up, I was like, okay, I can feel my feet, I wiggled my toes, wiggled my knees. I just knew something wasn't right. Something in my midsection was like bound up, and I dislocated my hip before, and I knew it wasn't that kind of feeling. I knew it was something more serious, and man, it was scary. It was really scary.
Having suffered an injury kind of in this general area before, it's kind of scary for a guy to be hurt down there, right? Yeah, it's really scary. There's a lot
in front of your pelvis too. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it was, and all that had to be like observed too, like very closely. And like, luckily I had no damage to like my urethra system. Like I had to get so many. That was the most painful thing when I was in the hospital. They were like pumping like dye into my bladder. It was like the most uncomfortable pain. Like,
were they doing that through a catheter?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've had one of those.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about our injuries that I had. I used the reference grapefruits.
I use avocados.
You said these are like big black avocados, right? Yeah. So things back to normal now? Is everything okay with Danielle?
Throw her under the bus. Yeah, no, everything's good. Like I said, I'm through the thick of it now. Like I'm finally, everything feels normal. Everything is functioning right. Like the scariest thing, you know, all your nerves run through your sacrum in the back. That's one of the bones that I broke. And when I got home, or when I got out of the operating room, like I couldn't feel the inside of my left thigh, and I was like, you know, like as big as this injury was, if that's all that I'm losing, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But that was the one thing that really wasn't functioning right. And when I got home to California, I started, you know, kind of like massaging it and going to therapy for it, and found out that it was just a tight tendon, and it was kind of just like messing up the nerves. So that's completely normal now. Like I'm, you know, like I said before, if that was all that I was going to lose, then it kind of sucks. But at the same time, like it was a big one. But I'm like normal, completely normal now. I'm really excited about that.
3 months through a 6-month recovery. At what point in this recovery period can you get back to training and doing other things like riding a bike,
Riding a dirt bike?
bicycle, then a dirt bike?
So yeah, right now I'm at 3 months. At about 3.5, I can start on stationary stuff, which I hate stationary bicycles. Like, but I've never been so excited to get on one. Like, I can't wait to just do some sort of exercise. So coming up on that point, and then once I get there, I can progressively start ramping it up. I think at like the 4.5, 5 month mark, I can get back on a mountain bike and road bike, and then at the 6 month mark, I can start riding again. But yeah, like I said, right now it's just been like a lot of stretching and a lot of foundation work, because I have to completely like hit reset and start from the bottom, you know, build a base, and then worry about strength, and then worry about endurance. But the timing kind of works out, because like to race the next season, you know, everyone literally like the day that everyone ends their season, that's the day I can start riding.
Yeah.
Like it like worked out that way. So it's man, it's gonna be still like a long ways out, and still be a long road to get to that point. But like I said before, man, it's like I'm through the thick of it, and like the pain was so bad for so long that it makes me appreciate like having no pain, being able to wake up, get out of bed, and kind of somewhat live a normal life.
The little things.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cole mentioned getting back on a bike eventually. So we're going to take a little break, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Hey guys, Marvin Muscan here. Liat is giving away one leg brace every week during 2018. For your chance to win, send your best thrill moment, and for more details, check out Liat on social media.
Since 1973, FMF has been about getting more out of riding motorcycles. More power, more wins, more fun. Innovation and American craftsmanship makes FMF today's leader in performance. FMF, feel the power.
What's up? This is Christian Craig. As a motocross racer, being in top physical shape is a must, and my favorite way to train is cycling. And whether it's road biking or mountain biking, I rely on Roy's Cyclery to keep my bikes in perfect running order.
Hey, welcome back to Swapmoto Live, presented by OGO. We're with Cole Seeley, and we left off, he just mentioned getting back on a bike. So, Cole, we actually had coffee a couple weeks ago and we were talking about it. And one of the shocking things that I heard come out of your mouth was you said that the thought of getting back on a dirt bike at that time made you sick to your stomach.
Yep.
And so I left kind of thinking, whoa, retiring, racing, what's he going to do? So has your mind changed any bit over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was probably like the next week after we met up. I kind of like, you know, you go through so many emotions in like an injury like this, like, especially for somebody like me, you know, I dedicate my life to the sport, and then to have it literally like throw me on the ground and like, I don't know, you feel like almost like betrayed in a way. Mm-hmm. So you kind of go through this whole emotional roller coaster of like I hate dirt bikes, I hate the sport. You know, you kind of like pay attention to all the stuff that you don't like about the sport. Yeah. And almost like reconsider life, really. Especially like I just turned 28, so like, you know, like I'm kind of in the later stage of my career, and it's like what is all this worth? You know, I just had to fully reconsider like everything I've ever done with riding and racing and what it's worth to me. And at that point I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And that was, I've gone through that before and never been vocal about it, but this one, I don't know, this time it felt like so real. Like I think part of it being in a wheelchair for so long and kind of like that mentally just messing with me had a lot to do with it. But it was just kind of like something I had to go through, and I had to like, I've always tried to take injuries and like make them positive. Like, okay, maybe it's time to rebuild. Maybe it's time to reinvent some of the stuff that, you know, I've been going through, my training, my, you know, foundation stuff on the bike, off the bike, all this stuff. I try and like really focus on that stuff, but this time I was so negative. I don't know why. Just I had so much hate like for the sport. I don't know. It just was an emotion I was going through.
Damn dirt bike. So did something click for you? What changed your mind? Was it just waking up the first day with no pain?
Part of it, yeah. Part of it was getting closer to having no pain. I don't know, like it was seriously like 3 days in a row I woke up like I kind of want to ride again. Like, I don't know, it wasn't like I was telling myself that. And I work with like mental coaches, and like I didn't want to go to my mental coach because I didn't want them to tell me, no, you need to get past this and you need to ride again. I didn't want to hear that. Yeah. I wanted to like work it out on myself and like experience it for myself and learn from it by myself. And it was like, I don't know, like I said, just like there was 3 days in a row where I was like, maybe I want to ride again. Maybe like, and then like I actually went to have, once I could walk without pain, I went to factory Honda to just see the team. I haven't seen the guys in so long. And like I sat on a bike for the first time, and it was like, this isn't so bad. Like I kind of miss being in this position. I hadn't pulled a clutch. I hadn't pulled a front brake or twisted a throttle or done anything bike related in so long. And it made me miss it. Like I was like kind of missing being in that position. I hadn't put a helmet on in so long. You know, it's like all these things that I'm like every single day I do, and not necessarily take for granted, but just kind of fall into routine of. And that had all been taken away from me, and like kind of missed it in a little way. And I just needed to come to by myself, you know.
Okay, well that's good to hear that we're not going to see, we haven't seen the last of you. Also, when we spoke, you said all of your contracts are up this year. So, have you had any talks yet with anyone? Made phone calls or?
Yeah, I mean,
have meetings.
I was already in the process before I got hurt. You know, I always like to try and get my deals done early, like March, and I got hurt in February. So it was, I kind of like my team, Factory Honda. They've been awesome about giving me my time and my space and letting me figure it out. I know there's obviously a certain date that I have to respect. Like, okay, you know, I got to give these guys an answer. But at the same time, like I was really thankful all the way up to the highest guys. You know, they're like, Cole's our guy. We're going to let him figure it out, let him work it out on his own. And when he's ready to give us an answer, then we're ready to listen. So I was really thankful for them letting me kind of work it out on my own. And I needed that. You know, I didn't want to be, like I said before with my mental coach, I didn't want to like be told I had to do something. And it was the same thing with Honda, which was like super awesome to hear, especially coming from like a guy like Eric Kehoe, who's like a friend, but at the same time, he's my team manager. And he's been really positive and comes over for lunch and just checks on me and makes sure that I'm his rider, but at the same time I'm his friend, and making sure that I'm in a good mental state and happy with the way things are going, and helping me kind of, because he's been through it before too. He broke his back, and he's like, that was a big part of my back injury. Was I didn't know if I ever wanted to ride again. I hated bikes for a little while, and then one day you're like, oh, you know what, I want to get back on the bike, and that's exactly what I went through. It took a long time.
Yeah. So if you're not back to training yet, I know that you're not a guy to just sit around and be lazy on the couch. So Cole's also heavily involved with drift cars, drifting, and you have a little series that you're promoting yourself, and offshoot clothing line. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Circuit Spirit?
Yeah, Circuit Spirit. Me and two of my best friends created it about a year ago, and it's gotten some traction. Definitely, like, faster than we thought it was. It was a way bigger headache than we thought it was going to be, but like, we're so passionate about the sport and we love it, and want to help it grow. So we focus more on the grassroots, like beginner drifters, helping them grow into better drivers. And if we see somebody struggling, we'll hop in the car with them, show them some things. If they want, we'll drive their car for them so they can see some technique and all that. But that's been a really, really fun thing to be a part of. And now, like, kind of getting some recognition in that world. Like, me and my best friend who I started it with have been invited to be judges at events now. Like, over the summer I'm going to be judging 3 professional amateur or pro-am events, and kind of, like, I don't know, getting deeper roots in that sport, which is really cool. It's something that I'm, like I said before, really passionate. It was something that was a hobby for me in, like, high school, and now it's kind of become just something that I look at as, like, there's motocross is my main priority, and now this is kind of right below that.
Yeah, I think anyone that follows Cole on social media, Instagram specifically, now that he's hurt, there's all this car stuff on your feed. But I crack up because every once in a while you'll throw up old dirt bike pictures just keep the motocross fans happy.
Yeah, you got to know your audience. Right?
Yeah. So for you, how important is social media for you as a factory racer and marketing yourself?
I don't know. It's not something that I really, like, focus on and pay attention to. Like, I don't try to have this huge following and interaction with fans. It's just, like, naturally who I am. Like, I just post, like, natural stuff. I don't like to be fake. I don't like to be, like, a sellout to any company that, like, wants me to post something. So, like, and a lot of the brands that I work with are, like, awesome, like Adidas. Like, it's so easy to promote that brand because I love Adidas. I would wear them even if I wasn't sponsored. But at the same time, like, now I'm seeing a lot of brands like Spy or Stance or these, companies that are kind of, like, cutting edge, that are like, we pay attention to this stuff, and we write it down, and we have the paperwork, and this is, like, what you're posting. And, like, seeing that, I'm like, man, like, this is, like, serious now. Instagram started out as, like, hey, look at what I'm doing. Now it's like an actual thing you can, in a roundabout way, for motocrossers, make money from, because you can get hired because you're fast, or you get hired because you do cool stuff and have a good following. So it's something that to answer your question, I do take a little bit more serious and pay closer attention to now. But I like it to be organic. I like it to be just me.
A glimpse into your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. How about the haters that you had on there a couple times? Remember that one guy? There was a guy that created a fake account, and his icon was a picture of his girlfriend's butt. That guy was just messing with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest problem. Then. Like, there's a lot more hate on the internet, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's part of being a public figure and opening yourself up like that. But hey, thank you for joining us in the studio. It was nice to have you here and not in a coffee shop with a lot of loud noises. But so, if you like the show, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Also, transworldmotocross.com. Follow Cole Seeley on Instagram at ColeSeeley14.
No, just at Cole Seeley.
At Cole Seeley. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.